With over 76 victories in the NASCAR Cup Series, Dale Earnhardt Sr., often referred to as the Intimidator and widely known as the GOAT of NASCAR, is one of the most iconic figures in the history of NASCAR. Known for his aggressive driving style, determination, and incredible skill behind the wheel, Earnhardt achieved numerous major accomplishments throughout his career. But did you know Dale Earnhardt Sr. almost never became a driver? Born on April 29, 1951 in Kannapolis, North Carolina, into a family of four, and as the child of Martha and Ralph Earnhardt, Dale Earnhardt Sr. grew up in a racing family, immediately paving his way into the racing world. His father, Ralph Earnhardt, was a talented and respected stock car driver. Dale Sr. learned the ropes early as he often accompanied his father to races and even secretly raced in his father's car at the age of 12, showing great potential. He also worked on cars in the backyard alongside his brother, and he was so good at that. Despite Dale's enormous talent in the car industry, he had some shortcomings. Dale never showed real interest in formal education, and in 1967, 16-year-old Earnhardt shocked his father when he decided to drop out of school in the 9th grade to pursue his passion, even though his father opposed it. The choice was not without its risks, as it meant sacrificing a formal education and relying solely on his racing and automobile talents to support himself. It was a risky move, as success in racing was not guaranteed then, but he was ready to take the risk, marking the beginning of his struggles. In 1968, Dale showed courage when he got married at the very young age of 17 to Latane Brown, and they both had a child together while working at an auto garage for a living and nursing the dream to become a professional driver, even though the dream is fast fading away due to low earnings. But their marriage won't last long, as they broke up 2 years later. After the breakup, Dale got motivated to chase his dream, and he first began his career as a dirt road racer, driving a 1956 Ford Club sedan as his first bona fide race car. His first race was on the Concord Speedway, a local track owned by Henry Furr. A year later, Earnhardt found love again when he got married to Brenda Gee, and both had 2 children together named Kelly and Dale Earnhardt Jr. At the time, Dale knew he had to forsake driving for a while to be able to provide for his family, so he took up a job at Concord at Punch Whitaker's wheel alignment shop on Route 9 to cater to his family and continue pursuing his dream. Working tirelessly to meet his target, Earnhardt stumbled upon a cache of old Ford Falcons and selected one as his new race car. He fixed it up in his spare time and supported his family by working another job as a welder for the Great Dane Trucking Company. But the family still lived poorly in assorted apartments and trailers, and Earnhardt was sometimes slow in paying his bills. They all rode around in old fixer-upper cars, yet he kept a steady stream of race cars moving through the garage at the old Earnhardt family home on Sedan Avenue in Kannapolis. And in 1974, Earnhardt Sr. switched from dirt racing to asphalt, taking a huge step toward his dream. He picked up a used race car and drove in local races as part of the Old Sportsman division, which later became the Busch Circuit. He debuted on the Winston Cup circuit at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, driving in the Charlotte 600 on Memorial Day 1975. He drove car number 8, a Dodge belonging to Egg Negre and his mechanic's son Norman. Earnhardt finished 22nd place in the race and pocketed a whopping $2,425. Realizing that he's almost getting to his dream, Darrell pressed further. From 1976 to 1979, Earnhardt began his road to excellence. He began to participate in the Winston Cup races, racing in 8 Winston Cup races altogether. Sponsors agreed that he was an excellent driver. He possessed the natural grit and calm demeanor to be a championship driver. However, Earnhardt was fearless, in fact, to a fault. He often crashed and flipped cars like old soda pop cans. This doesn't help his cause. Rather, it diminishes his chances of making it in the racing world, as sponsors are unwilling to subsidize the cost of repairing his cars. With nobody willing to invest in Earnhardt, he had no choice but to return home briefly to live with his mother after his second marriage crashed. He stopped racing on the asphalt circuit and drove the dirt road tracks again back to where it all began. But Dale Earnhardt was never a man to give up. He took a job at Chrysler Motors, testing so-called kit cars, willing to start it all again. In 1978, luck shone on Earnhardt when he crossed paths with an investor named Rod Osterlund, who was putting together a Winston Cup team in an old garage in Dorita, near Charlotte. Earnhardt was offered a driving position, and he took the chances with both hands. He drove 2 races for Osterlund and finished 2nd and 4th respectively. The following year, at age 29, Earnhardt joined Osterlund's team as one of 2 drivers. With Osterlund's help, Earnhardt purchased a home on Lake Norman near the Frog Creek campground where Osterland's crew housed and maintained their cars at the Carl Owens Trailer Park. On April 1 of his rookie year, Earnhardt won his first Winston Cup race. The race at Bristol was the Southeastern 500, the 7th on the circuit. Earnhardt led for 160 laps and beat Bobby Allison to the finish. Earnhardt was only the 4th rookie in the history of NASCAR to win a race. With winnings of $264,086 that year, he was named NASCAR's Rookie of the Year and signed to drive for 5 more years with Osterland. Everything began to fall into place. However, for a daring driver like Earnhardt, of course, winning came at a price. He lost 4 weeks to recuperation that season after a severe crash at Pocono. Earnhardt, who blew a tire and hit the wall, suffered 2 broken collarbones, a concussion, and severe bruises. But this did not make Earnhardt change his style, and that extreme style paid off in 1980 when he earned his first Winston Cup at age 29. He took the trophy by a 19-point margin, his winnings for the season totaling more than $500,000. Earnhardt signed with Richard Childress in August of 1981. Driving Ford cars, Earnhardt finished in 12th place in points in 1982. He finished 8th in 1983. He renewed his deal with Childress, who was crafting entire cars in the shop through deals with GM, Goodyear, and others. Earnhardt began driving the sturdier Childress chassis and won 2 Winston Circuit races in 1984 to finish in 4th place in points. In 1985, Earnhardt ranked 8th in points for the season. By then, his family had grown to include 4 children and a new wife. With a larger family to support, Earnhardt became more aggressive in driving, and his reckless competition style emerged with a vengeance. He bumped other drivers from his path in 3 out of his 4 wins that year. Around that time, Earnhardt had begun solidifying his position in the NASCAR world. An entrepreneur named Hank Jones had dubbed Earnhardt the Dominator and printed t-shirts and souvenirs with the moniker. Although the Dominator merchandise never sold well, Jones followed a new hunch and reordered more Earnhardt souvenir merchandise with a different nickname, calling Earnhardt the Intimidator instead. The new name hit pay dirt, and Jones made $180,000 selling Intimidator souvenirs from a trackside trailer in 1985. When his 7-year sponsorship arrangement with Wrangler came to a premature conclusion in 1987, Earnhardt turned to GM Goodwrench for funding and used the opportunity to purchase his car number. Thus, the familiar black Chevrolet sedan with a big white 3 on the top became Earnhardt's trademark on the track. After winning 6 of the first 8 races in 1987, he finished the season with 11 wins, clinching the Winston Cup with 2 races still in the offing. Earnhardt earned a reputation for highly emotional displays and outbursts while driving. He was a moody, aggressive competitor who went after the competition by making physical contact between the cars. Although tire problems plagued Earnhardt's car during the 1988 season, he returned to a 2nd-place finish in 1989. He won his 4th Winston Cup in 1990 and a 5th in 1991. Faced with replacing his crew chief in 1992, Earnhardt slumped into a 12th place finish. He brought Andy Petrie into the organization in 1993, won 6 of his first 18 races, and ended the season with the 6th Winston Cup. A 3rd consecutive championship in 1994 resulted from a consistently winning season wherein he took 1st place in 4 races, 2nd place in 7, and 3rd place in 6. It was Earnhardt's 7th Winston Cup overall to tie Richard Petty's record for most Winston Cup championships. That year, Earnhardt moved his family from Lake Norman to a 2-story house in Mooresville, North Carolina. The estate, situated on 900 acres, included a 108,000-foot garage. Showing no less mercy on the track than before, the Intimidator continued his rule on the Asphalt track, with an annual income approaching $24.5 million in the late 1990s. Earnhardt sold the sports image venture for $30 million in 1996. By 2000, he ranked 40 on the Forbes list of 100 wealthiest celebrities. In addition to his new home with its so-called Garage Mahal car maintenance facility, he owned a helicopter, a Learjet, numerous ATVs, and a large trailer. Plus, he kept a fully staffed yacht moored in Florida. Unfortunately, Dale Earnhardt tragically lost his life while making the last lap of the 2001 Daytona 500. As his car collided with the wall, it was struck by another car at high speed. He died at the hospital, despite rescue efforts due to a basilar skull fracture. Earnhardt's passing led to significant safety advancements in NASCAR and left a lasting impact on the sport. Do you think Dale Earnhardt Sr. is the best NASCAR driver the sport has ever produced? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.